Hi guys, I'm Dr. Jenny White, a dentist in Sarasota, Florida, and her fearless patient Susan with our podcast, Open Wide, Unfiltered Opinions Between a Dentist and Her Patient. Over the past 25 years or so, I've been sitting in a little room talking to myself all day, and I've gained a lot of wisdom through that process, which I want to share with you. We hope our podcast casts optimism and fearlessness to you so you can rise to the top, stay at the top, and dream bigger than you've ever imagined.
It's my greatest privilege to introduce my friend Jody Mayo. Jody is a survivor, speaker, and patient advocate whose journey through glioblastoma diagnosis in 2024 reshaped her life and her life's purpose. Today, told she only had months to live, Jody pursued with care and unshakable resolve, ultimately achieving what few imagined possible. She became cancer-free. Her experience has since fueled her work across hospitals, medical programs, and community organizations, where she offers candid insight into compassionate care, resilience, and living the reality of navigating a life-altering disease. Jody's story continues to inspire audiences with its blend of honesty, strength, and hope. A career in corporate communications, marketing, branding, and storytelling gives Jody the experience to compellingly and creatively tell her story. She considers her most important role to be that as an advocate and inspiration to anyone facing daunting situations and distressing odds. Jody, welcome to our podcast. It's so lovely to see you, and it's lovely to see you looking so well, because I haven't seen you in a while. I do want to say that you and I have known each other for some time. The very first time I met you was long before any of these diagnoses. I was immediately drawn to you, and we were drawn to each other, I think, because we recognize spirituality in each other. And as you tell your story today, I know you're going to talk a lot about spirituality and how it has gotten you through the last couple of years. But let's start with, when did you get a diagnosis? What were some of the symptoms? What happened?
Well, this has been an odd journey, but it began here actually in 2021. I ended up in the hospital with a brain hemorrhage. And I was hospitalized in Sarasota Memorial Hospital. And at the time, I was in ICU, and then 2 days later, I was out. I was at Sarasota Yacht Club. So I said I went from ICU to SYC. And I was under a neurologist care here, and then unfortunately, he just kept saying at the time, "You're a miracle," and but I just continued to feel a little bit off. I had some memory issues. I had some speech issues. I exercised daily, and there were times I felt I was almost like a stroke victim, that one of my legs was weaker than the other. Anyway, the net was he continued to insist that I was a miracle, that, just he never needed to see me again. And I went in on my own volition in December of 2023. He decided to give me an EEG, and then a week later, or a few days later, whatever it was, he told me that I had epilepsy, which just really threw me off. I said, how could I have epilepsy? I've never had a seizure. But anyway, he's a doctor. Mm-hmm. I accepted the prognosis, and I immediately started taking this anti-seizure medication. So I'm up in Cape Cod with my 95-year-old mother. I take her to the ER. And while I'm in the ER, my mother, she's looking at me and saying, "Honey, are you okay?" And I said, "I don't know, I have a headache." And I said, "Watch, Mom. You'll walk out of here and they'll roll me out with a toe tag." And we both started laughing. But then I started seeing double. Oh. And so I walked out to the ER, and I said, "I don't feel right." And they were kind of like, "There's no Lucy 5 cents going on here. If you don't feel right, go check yourself in." Yeah. So I did. And sure enough, my mother was discharged, and I was admitted. I'm in the Cape Cod Hospital in the neurology ward. They said a gentleman came in with a surgical mask on, told me his name, said he was a neurosurgeon. And I said, "Why can't I have anything to drink?" And he said, "We're preparing you for emergency brain surgery. You have a massive brain hemorrhage." They had to get the bleeding under control. And then the next morning, they took me in for an MRI, and they came back and said, you have a golf ball-sized brain tumor. And you're a ticking time bomb. It needs to come out, and it needs to come out now. So you can imagine I was a little, wow, didn't see that coming.
Right.
Did not see that. And Susan, you see me. I'm known for organic diet,
Yeah.
prayer and meditation,
Yeah.
daily exercise fanatic.
Yeah.
Really not the candidate for, something like this.
Yeah.
But just goes to show you.
Yeah, you just never know.
No.
Okay, so then you got the diagnosis, and then they operated on the tumor, and
They
they
did.
took it out, and they did a biopsy, and they came up with a diagnosis of.
So I went into the doctor, and this is one of the things, brilliant surgeon, lacked bedside manner. I knew at this point, because it took 3 weeks, and they had to fly the tumor out from Dana-Farber, looked at it, they were uncertain. They flew it out to experts at the University of California and San Francisco, and they're known for analyzing rare brain tumors. And so I knew at this point, after 3 weeks of waiting, it probably wasn't good. I had hoped that it was just benign and they'd take it out and I'd be on my merry way. And so I went in and I said to the neurosurgeon, what's going on? And he said, you have stage 4 glioblastoma. It's very malignant. It's very aggressive. It's very relentless. There is no cure. Wow.
Yeah, and that was in February of 24, if I remember correctly.
That was,
right? Yeah.
Well, it was actually March.
Okay.
Because there was that lapse between when I had the craniotomy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so really calmly, surprisingly calmly, I said, how much time do I have? And he said 10 to 12 months, depending on how well you respond to treatment. So it's 22 months now.
Yeah.
And I can't take treatment. So there you go.
Yeah. So I remember seeing you at the 9-month mark because I visited you in Cape Cod where you were living. And you and I were like in puddles of tears, like just grabbing onto each other and hanging on and crying. And here we are all
Right?
these months later and you're looking so well. So what do they say now? Like what?
That I defy everything that they know about the disease.
Okay.
I mean, that's Dana-Farber's mantra, and that's where I don't receive any care. I'm on no medication for anything. They just monitor. And by monitoring, that's at first it was every 2 months because this type of brain cancer is so aggressive that it generally will reappear within months. So they don't want it space too long.
Right,
So I
sure,
went
yeah.
for several 2 months, which I had suffered from horrible, what they call scanxiety, just terrified that this was going to come back.
PTSD, right.
Yeah.
Just, I called cancer the beast, and I was terrified of the beast. And then somewhere along the way, I decided that I was going to slay the beast. The beast wasn't going to get me. I was going to, get the beast. So, and then more time went by, no sign of cancer, completely clear scans, just a little bit of areas that they can see from the craniotomy, and then they decided to do 3 months. So I just had a scan the other day, and they said not only is there no sign of cancer, but that I have a very healthy brain for a woman my age, and I'm not sure I'm going to divulge that.
Congratulations. That's
But you must know.
fantastic
It's crazy.
news. Yeah.
Crazy.
This is just a
Fantastic.
miracle. You are a miracle.
Yeah.
I honestly said to them, do you believe in miracles? Because they just kept sending the tumor back for more analysis because they couldn't understand why I was doing so well.
Yeah.
Because the pathology still says I shouldn't be doing so well.
Right.
Jody, is there a genetic component to the brain tumors. I mean, does anyone in your family have a brain tumor? Are there genetic tests that we can do today to see if we're predisposed?
Yes. So I did a genetic test. Obviously, it was too late for me, but not for my daughter. I have a daughter and my siblings. There was no genetic component. But this is crazy, but my ex-husband died of glioblastoma at age 55. So that really threw the clinicians off, because an adult has less than 1% chance of getting glioblastoma. It's like 0.034% or something like that, less than 0.5%. It's even more uncommon for females. So I asked if there was any environmental component, but honestly, I was married a hot minute, so we weren't ever actually in the same place long enough for there to be any kind of element. And
Transfer
they said,
of, yeah.
And they said there is no known environmental component.
Like asbestos or,
No.
Any of that?
It's a primary brain tumor, meaning that it originates in the brain and it doesn't leave the brain. But what's really scary is your brain is so powerful. It's your motherboard, right? And so you have what's called a brain-blood barrier. And that's fabulous because it protects foreign entities, it protects your brain, but it also stops a lot of treatment. So glioblastoma and other primary brain tumors are very difficult to treat.
To get access to. Tell us a little bit about, you mentioned slaying the cancer. What does that entail? What define slaying that cancer? How did you do that? Mentally, what did you do?
Well, I will be really honest. From the very beginning, when a doctor tells you that you are going to die and tells you when you're going to die, it's pretty daunting. And I believed them. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
He's the medical expert, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so I did a lot of crying. I did a lot of preparing for death. I was fearful and tearful, still holding out daily. Please God, please God. And I don't want to turn this into a God thing, but I cannot deny my spirituality and the fact that I think prayer, not only mine, but people's prayer, I was lifted by it.
I believe in that too.
Absolutely.
And I know Susan does.
Absolutely. And I could feel the energy and the prayers. And when I say it was life-changing and empowering, it's indescribable. It was palpable. The amount of love and prayers that I could feel, and God only knows my own as well. So I started thinking, if I have 10 months, I don't care if it was 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever, I did not want to live in fear, in tears anymore. And I said, pump the brakes. This is not how I'm going to spend the rest of my life like this. And I decided to live. I decided that I wasn't going to die. I would go in to tell the doctors, I don't think I have cancer. And every time I got a clear MRI, I'd say, I don't have cancer. I would go out and my brother started calling me Forrest Gump. I'm in Cape Cod. It's nor'easters. I am bundled up like, Ralphie's little brother, going out, walking 6 to 13 miles, being practically blown away by, the wind and cold. And people said, why are you doing that? And I said, because I can. And I'm going to program my brain and my body. A person riddled with cancer can't walk, can't be that vital, can't be that healthy. And I was determined. And determination is not the same as denial. It's just, I'm going to do everything in my power, because medical science said we can't do anything more for you. And I said, and they came back and told me I was supposed to have 6 months of chemotherapy after I went through the 6 weeks of radiation and chemo. They said, you're genetically resistant to the only drug that we have that's known to slow the return. And remember, my prognosis was 10 to 12 months, depending on how well you respond to treatment. And then they told me I don't respond to treatment.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But I know I scored points with the big guy because I said immediately, and I said, I don't care. That's poison. I don't want it. I'm in God's hands, and I feel safe here.
That's
And
beautiful.
that's when I just said, this is not going to get me. I'm going to make the most out of my life, however long that is, because we're not guaranteed.
Yeah, that's for
None
sure.
of us, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. I know you had a bucket list, and you started to go through the things on your bucket list, and I'm reminded of a picture you posted on Facebook of you and your sister, I think it was, on the Greek islands, and you were jumping off a boat together into the crystal clear waters, and you were holding hands. And that was such a poignant, beautiful look on the two of your faces and the time that you could spend together, and so smart to get that bucket list put together and start doing some of those things.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't miss a beat. I was out of radiation and chemotherapy, I think it was May 15th. June 7th, I took my daughter and my grandson to go see my girlfriend, who was a backup singer for the Rolling Stones. That started our tour. Then I took, let me tell you something.
It was on.
It was on. Then I took them all, and it was on first class, which, by the way, has become a little bit of a problem for me now that I'm living longer.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm calling you Jumpin' Jack Jody.
Yeah, I'm telling you. We went to the Greek islands and Ephesus. And trust me, I was drinking so much holy water every
Yeah.
place that I went. I was in every church praying.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if I don't get healed, I might die of dysentery with all the well water and everything I was drinking.
Yeah.
Then my sister and she said, where do you want to go? And I said, never been to the French Polynesia. So we got on a plane. And my brother and I went, and his family and my family went to Italy last Christmas. And I thought it was going to be my last Christmas.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Yeah.
Got my red pants on, ready for this Christmas.
Ready to go.
Part of the story that's actually a little humorous now is that when you got your original diagnosis, you sold off everything.
I didn't sell it.
Now
I
you
wish
got-
I did.
Well-
I gave it
Oh,
away.
you gave it away. Right, you gave it away. And now you're like, I gotta
Everything.
start all over again. Buy new
Everything.
clothes and buy
So
new
where
this
did you
and
get
that.
those red pants? Because I gotta go buy a
Is
pair.
that hilarious? No, I literally, and then they came back and they said, well, you could live 2 decades. And I said, well, I wish you told me that before I spent all my money and gave everything away. I'm not kidding. I had to go buy a new car. And I drove it from Cape Cod down to Florida with 2 suitcases. I have some Christmas ornaments in my sister's basement.
Yeah.
That's it. But you know what? It was very easy. I don't want any of this stuff back. I could care less
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
If it didn't have sentimental value, it had no value to me.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you and I talked recently about how you feel like your life has really changed and things that gave you joy before just don't anymore. Talk about that. How has things changed? How has relationships with people changed? How do you think about life now? What is different from the way you were before your diagnosis?
Well, I think more purposeful.
Okay.
So thank goodness that I always placed a premium on my family, friends, and faith. But it really, it made that so much more important, really the only important thing. So as I looked at some of my lifestyle and some of my choices, they seem a little frivolous now. You know, I want to make a difference. I want to help other people more than I've ever wanted to. And you know that a big part of what I was doing with my caviar business was raising money for different charities, and that was the part of that job that gave me the most reward and satisfaction. But it's really a mission. And as I look at being around so many other cancer patients, I was asked to speak at Cape Cod Hospital, and a Cancer Survivor Day. And after I spoke, I had so many people come up to me and say, and I don't mean to say this to impress anybody, but to impress upon you how powerful it was for me to see that my story was so inspirational. And there were young people with cancer and older people with cancer, and they came up and said, "You gave me hope."
Yeah.
And thank you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times clinicians don't mean to, but they take statistics and medians, and that's about groups.
Yeah.
It doesn't speak to individuals.
Yeah.
And as individuals, there's variabilities.
Right.
And I'm living proof.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give clinicians when they have to deliver a bad diagnosis to someone,
Well, it's
being
interesting.
on the receiving end of it?
It's interesting because one of the neurologists that I see, when I went in, I mean, I just can't believe some of the things that people told me. But he at one point said, "You must be a really good person." And I said, a little perplexed. And he said, "Because this only seems to happen to the best people." And he said, glioblastoma and ALS are the two worst ways to die. And of course, I was terrified because I consulted Dr. Google, and glioblastoma is just insidious. It is just a horrible. It is basically what it does is it's so invasive, and it just gets behind the brain-blood barrier, and it basically just eats away all your healthy brain cells and leaves. That's your motherboard, right? So it was terrifying. And after I kept defying all the odds, and I kept showing up, walking up the stairs in the hospitals going, "I don't have cancer." And finally they started saying, "We don't think you do either." But he specifically asked me, "What should I have said? What should I have said?" And
What
I
a
said,
great guy.
And I said, "What should I tell people?" Because they are thrilled to have someone to tell a story that's a hopeful story. And I said, never rule out the possibility of hope.
Yeah.
Never. And I know they have to balance it, but statistics with hope. We have a patient who was given 10 months, 22 months later, and now 2 decades is what they're telling me.
So have they, in second or third opinions, have they identified like a subset of this, or like is it still glioblastoma, or is it something derivative of that, or?
Honestly, brain tumors are so complex.
Yeah, that's
so
for sure.
They're saying it is a high-grade glioma, as I said, that it's not identified by the World Health Organization, meaning the individual components of the tumor itself, there's some genetic components in there, but it has all the characteristics of a glioblastoma, except for it hasn't killed me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Interesting. I want to get back to something Jenny was just saying, though, about the clinicians. And I'm wondering if some of your message could be delivered to medical schools. Like, I'm wondering if you could be a lecturer in a medical school and just say, look, here's a way you could be better with patients. Have you pursued that at all?
Well, I'm pursuing several different channels. And one of them is I did a one-pager for medical students. I did some communications for doctors, how to deliver a diagnosis with hope, balancing statistics with some hope, because there's a science to hope. And this is fascinating.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have been reading a lot about it. So 2 patients given the same terminal prognosis, one in despair, one has hope. Guess who lives longer?
Yeah. Oh, I'm
The
sure.
person with hope.
Hope, of course. Yeah.
And there's actual evidence that it improves your immune system, that it gives, obviously, your will to live, and it also is correlated with adherence to medical. So people that medical advice or medical treatments, so people that think they're going to die will say, well, why would I bother?
Yeah.
Let me just
Because you're an
drink
example.
champagne.
Here's an
Yeah,
example of
yeah,
why you should
yeah.
have hope. Because
Exactly.
Yeah. Are you planning on writing a book or anything? Like this is there's a whole
You have to.
treasure trove of things that you could be saying and doing here, Jody, really with your experience.
Well, that is definitely part of my journey. Funnily enough, initially I was so ill and I was blind in one eye, where the tumor impacted my vision, and so my niece set up a Caring Bridge page. Are you familiar
Yes.
with Caring Bridge? And it was just a way for me not to have to answer, and this is awful because I had so many wonderful friends, but I didn't have the strength. So I started chronicling and updating people. And it was very cathartic. And as I go back and look at it, I see how faith was such an integral part the entire journey. And even when I thought I was going to die, I remember saying, I'm not having a pity party. I get to show if I am going to die, I get to show people what grace looks like, what faith looks like, what resilience looks like. And that was a more elegant way for me to accept, like, this is meaningless unless I leave a legacy that's impactful. Okay, so your bad day isn't going to be the same as my bad day.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
No
It's
way.
like, people, really, somebody cut you off online? Doesn't sound like terminal cancer to me.
Yeah.
It kind of reframed everything for me, what's important. And I went on what I thought was maybe not so great, but I just wanted to bitch slap people sometimes and just say, come on, do you
Get with
realize
it.
how
Yeah.
precious life is?
Yeah.
You're going to waste your day worried about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It almost sounds like, or it does sound like, not almost, that this horrible initial diagnosis took your life's purpose and your life and said, this is what you need to do with it.
Isn't it so
This
crazy?
is how you need to focus.
Isn't-
Let everything else go.
It was so crazy. So to get back, are you going to write a book? In the middle of the night, of course, I wanted to take these Caring Bridge posts and maybe that would be the basis of some of it. And I'm a writer, funnily enough, right?
Yeah.
I've written some other books, never were published, but I did it and I loved it. But this has special meaning. And then I thought, what am I going to call it? And I said, Dying to Live. So think about it. We say, oh, I'm dying for sushi or I'm dying for this. And at that initial point, I was dying to live. But it was also a play on words because I realized in the face of death, I learned how to live better.
Yeah.
I didn't care about the stuff. I didn't care about the silliness. I didn't care about the drama. I didn't want negativity in my life. And I fought fiercely to protect my personal energy, and that was no negativity around me. People, I had to eliminate certain people out of my life. I had to eliminate negative thoughts, my own negative thoughts, and I battled that fiercely too. I'm not going to wallow. That thought doesn't serve me. And beliefs affect your biology down to the cellular level. So I was very, very careful and guarded to choose the good ones, good thoughts.
I've heard some cancer patients talk about forgiveness once they're given a diagnosis, because the not forgiving someone that's wronged you in the past or whatnot, you carry with you this anger, this crippling, icky, gooky emotion. Did forgiveness play a part in your journey?
I had purged that a long time ago, honestly, because that's cancerous.
Yes.
That is holding negative energy inside you.
You've done the work.
I had done the work. And I remember the first time I was hospitalized here in Sarasota, there was a priest giving me last rites. And I'm thinking, boy, is this it? And I remember the thoughts that came to me immediately were, do the people I love know that I love them? Check. Every time I end a conversation, I love you. I mean, Susan, if something happened to me, you would say, she loved me.
Yeah.
She loved me. Have I done or said anything that I regret that I haven't apologized for? Nope.
Good.
What will I do more of? I will double down on spending time and focusing on people that I love. And what will I do less of? Spending time with people who just are not a part of my journey anymore.
Yeah.
And I did, I wish you love and light and out of my life.
Yeah.
Didn't tell them that, but
Yeah.
that was sort of my, went
Mantra,
through and said, yep,
Yeah.
I love
love
that.
and light
I love
out
that.
of my life.
Yeah.
You're not serving me.
Yeah. Did you ever have a moment where you actually had a near-death experience during any of this? Did you see the, whatever the golden light is or whatever they say? And then was there any of that for you?
No, no, but I can tell you that I had other visions, and it wasn't near death. This may sound crazy, and I know some people get really turned off by religion. I don't say that I'm religious. I say that I'm spiritual, meaning that I believe in a benevolent presence that I choose to call God. But my niece gave me a book called Unafraid, and every day I would read these passages. And the one that really stood out was Jesus saying to the woman that said, your faith has healed you, go in peace. So I would visualize the hand of Christ on where the tumor was, saying, daughter, your faith has healed you, go in peace.
Oh, that's a lovely thought, actually.
And
Yeah.
I visualized white light coming in, this energy coming in from the heavens,
Yeah.
going through and just eradicating every cancerous cell in my body.
Right.
From the brain and illuminating me with light.
Yeah.
And I did things like I went to, when they said we can't do anything else for you, I said, fine. I continued my exercise. I went to acupuncture. I did Reiki healing. I went to angel seminars, which is really,
great.
really crazy. I went, Miraval. I went to Miraval and I was doing some drum ceremony. And as I was laying there with something covering my eyes, I said, did they, open a skylight or something? Because there was so much light, even through these. And the instructor came up to me afterwards and said, you are surrounded by light.
Oh, my
Surrounded by light.
Oh,
And the same thing with
beautiful.
this angel thing.
Yeah.
The instructor of all the people came over to me, and she actually said that it was silver light, and that was the aura of Mary Magdalene. And so I said, oh, well, that, she's saying, girl, even bad girls go to heaven.
Oh,
I was like, yeah, wait, you're good.
oh,
You're good.
that's funny. Wow.
Yeah. But a lot of really crazy spiritual things. And these
Yeah.
are people telling me
Yeah.
that they can see light around me.
Yeah. So you're not dreaming it or
No.
trying to make it up or anything like that.
No.
Other people are experiencing it for you too. Interesting.
and it just proves we're not in
Yeah.
control.
No.
Yeah.
No.
We are not in control. Whatever you want to call it is in control.
As
We are not.
I remember thinking that even at the beginning, if I was deluding myself, I was happier. I was happier. That denying, deluding, whatever, determined. And finally, the neuro-oncologist, at Dana-Farber, who teaches at Harvard Medical, she's stumped. And I said, do you believe in miracles? She said, yes, I do.
Yeah.
And then I said, why me? And her response was, first of all, because you're Jody Mayo. And I took that to mean that I was determined,
Destined to.
prayerful,
Yeah.
grateful,
Yeah.
joyful.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jody, I'm curious, what's on your upcoming to-do list? Yeah, I know you're hitting the ground running now.
so I just keep trying to get so many irons in the fire, hoping something will take. I wrote 2 TED Talks. I wrote to Mel Robbins, and I think that, there might be some avenues there. I asked Dana Farber to help me publish the book because I can write the book. Won't be, but they have access, obviously, because it's Harvard, to public publishers. So the book and then speaking engagements. So I was trying to sell caviar to this membership club in Naples. She said, I'm really not interested in your caviar, but I'm interested in your story, and I'm interested in having you share it with our membership.
Oh, wow.
So more
There we
speaking
go.
engagements and then getting out with clinicians and then bringing this as it's, in a lot of ways, it is the power of your thinking, right? I mean, I cannot discount how far that medical science took me. I mean, they did a craniotomy. They did a beautiful job of removing the tumor. But the rest was really, I think a lot of it was mind over matter, determination, and miraculous. These cancer institutes are saying miraculous. That's the term
says
they're
a lot.
using.
Yeah, that
right?
says a lot, yeah.
Because there's no other explanation.
Yeah.
There's none. And I'm absolutely convinced that I was saved, and it wasn't for me to go back to the Ritz-Carlton Beach Club and drink rosé on the beach. It was to get out there and spread some hope.
Do you have a vehicle to collect funds to help you do that? Like, do you have like a GoFundMe page, or do you have a website where people could donate to this Jody cause of getting the word out? Because that's probably a good next step to do.
That's interesting. I never thought of that. One of the things that I struggled with initially, I said, I don't want to make money from people who are struggling, but hospitals and there are other organizations and institutions that probably can and need to. There's positions, patient advocate positions. I'm not sure that that's where I'd fit. Dana Farber suggested that I do maybe look into being a social worker for cancer patients. So that could be, but it's right now. It's just my goal is to get out and spread this message, this story. Cape Cod Hospital just did a piece on me. Dana Farber wants to do a piece on me because medical science understands the importance of hope as much as they do treatment. And they also are now there's a discipline on its psycho-oncology, on people's mental frame of mind.
Oh, that
and
makes
if you're told you're going to
sense.
die,
Yeah.
a lot of people just give up.
Yeah.
My father was a prisoner of war for 3 years in Korea. And he said most of the men died of what he called give-up-itis.
Yeah.
They lost the will to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Yeah.
Jody, I'm also wondering maybe there are some nonprofits regarding glioblastoma that, I'm sure there are nonprofits out there that are focused on glioblastoma research and clinical trials and things like that. And if you could be the face or the speaker to give hope to all of these people that are desperate for a cure or just a minute better.
Exactly.
I don't know. If our little show here can help spread any information for your benefit, I'm thrilled.
Thank you. I mean, it is so important because think of the reality, right? That I was told I was going to die. There was no hope given to me whatsoever. So I clung to my own. I clung to my faith. I clung to my friends.
Yeah.
To the belief that, and it's just a better way to live for anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to tell people it's not even if you're dying. This is just a better way to live.
Right.
Being hopeful, grateful, prayerful, joyful. I mean, I look at sunrises and sunsets very differently.
Sure.
Because we're not guaranteed them, are we? None of us. But they are very, very meaningful. And, I can't tell you how many times in a day that I'll say, thank you, God, thank you, God.
Yeah.
And I think that gratitude has a big part of it. But there's also studies, too, of people that believe in God and have hope. They also have much better clinical outcomes.
Right. Yeah. Well, we want to support you in any way we can. We want you to have huge success with this message of hope because you're living proof of exactly what that means. Will you come back on the podcast another time to let us know how you're doing, say 6 months from now?
Oh, I would be delighted.
And you'll let us know if there's anything that we can do to help support this message, because you really have a very powerful message, and we'd love to be able to help you get it out.
I really appreciate you having me on today. I was so excited when you asked me because it is. I was saved for a reason.
Yeah.
And there's a powerful message here for everybody.
Yep.
And especially people. It's a dark place, being in it.
But Jody, today you've shined the light on such a dark and hopeless situation, and you are a miracle. Yeah. You are a living miracle, and it is our honor to sit here and talk to you. And I would do anything to have you back in 6 months and get a follow-up.
Oh,
and ask you 74,000 other questions that I didn't get to ask you.
I love it. I love it.
That would really, really be great.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful, and I can't wait to be back with you again and hang out with you, since I'll be in Florida for a while. But yeah.
So that's your plan now? You're going to be here for a while? That makes me very happy. I'll get to see you more.
This is the other thing that's so funny, because people say, Jody, you gave away everything. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I drove down with my new car that I had to buy.
Yeah.
And a couple suitcases, left my Christmas ornaments at my sister's house in Cape Cod. And I said, I don't know, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah. A door will open for you that will
Absolutely.
be
Of course it will.
A God that saved me from a deadly cancer is not going to leave me, homeless.
Right.
So I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
I have hope.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun.
I have hope and I have faith. Yeah.
And if you ever need 2 people to enable you while you're shopping, just give us a call.
Oh my God, that's so
absolutely.
funny.
Or send us a list. You need this,
That's
this,
so
this,
funny.
and this, and we'll go shopping.
Oh, my
for you.
friends in Cape Cod said they're going to have a shower for me. And, I said,
A miracle shower.
I don't own a TV or a toaster. And they said, we're going to have a shower. It's like a born-again shower, right? And then
That's a great idea, actually.
And then my
love
other
it.
girlfriend said something about, and on the third day, she rosé'd.
Yeah, that's funny.
So,
Jody, this has just been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
We
Thanks
wish
for having
you the
me.
greatest of health and happiness.
Onward and up,
particularly
up,
in this
up,
holiday
up.
season, since it's where we're talking right now.
It's a season of hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Keep us posted.
All right, I
right.
will.
All right.
Thank
hon.
you.
Thank you.
All right. It's a wrap.
Wow,
That's a
a wrap. That was
No, it's
like
awesome.
I don't want to stop. I don't want to
So
stop.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's just,
We thank you for
honestly,
listening and hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, please share this show with friends and family and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This way, you'll never miss weekly drops. Stay strong, dream big, and floss your teeth.